There's an old saying, a society grows great when old men plant trees whose shade they know they shall never sit in. This simple phrase captures a profound truth about human progress. The idea that we build, nurture, and invest not just for ourselves but for generations we may never meet. It's a quiet act of hope, a belief that our efforts today will create a better tomorrow for others. It's about legacy, a generational contract where each group works to make life better for the next. Parents dream of their children thriving, and grandparents hope their grandchildren will have opportunities they never imagined. This cycle of giving and striving is the foundation of a healthy, forward-looking society. It's what binds families and communities together, creating a sense of purpose that stretches far beyond our own lifetimes. For decades, this contract meant steady progress. Parents worked hard so their kids could have more. Each generation expected to climb a little higher, to live a little better, and to pass on even greater opportunities. The sacrifices of one era became the stepping stones for the next, fueling dreams of upward mobility and shared prosperity. But now, that escalator of prosperity has stalled. The path that once seemed to rise steadily upward has become uncertain, and for many, it feels like the steps have stopped moving altogether. The promise that hard work will always lead to a better life is being questioned in ways we haven't seen in generations. Millennials and Gen Z are on track to be less wealthy than their parents, a first in modern history. Many young people today face rising costs, stagnant wages, and barriers to home ownership that their parents never imagined. The dream of a secure, comfortable life is slipping further away, replaced by anxiety about the future and doubts about whether the old promises still hold true. Despite record global wealth and technological marvels, the basics of a middle-class life, home, stability, opportunity, are slipping out of reach. The gap between what's possible and what's attainable grows wider, leaving many to wonder if the system is still working for them. The sense of security that once defined the middle class is being replaced by uncertainty and frustration. Why is this happening? Is it policy, demographics, or just bad luck? Are we facing the consequences of decisions made decades ago, or is this a new challenge altogether? And most importantly, can we fix it? These questions are at the heart of a growing debate about fairness, opportunity, and the future of our society. Understanding this generational wealth gap is about more than economics. It's about fairness, stability, and whether we still plant trees for the future. It's about deciding what kind of world we want to leave behind, and whether we're willing to invest in a future we may never see. The choices we make today will shape the lives of those who come after us, just as the choices of past generations shaped ours. Let's get specific. What does it really mean when we say progress has left a generation behind? For decades, we were told that if you worked hard, got an education, and played by the rules, you'd be rewarded with stability and opportunity. But for many young people today, that promise feels more like a myth than a roadmap. So what's actually harder for young people today? Let's break it down. The challenges aren't just about individual choices, they're baked into the system. Take home ownership, for example. Once the cornerstone of middle-class life, it's now out of reach for millions. Housing prices have skyrocketed, far outpacing wage growth. Even with two incomes, many young families find themselves locked out of the market, forced to rent indefinitely or move back in with parents. The job market has changed too. Stable, long-term employment with benefits is increasingly rare. Instead, gig work and contract jobs dominate, offering flexibility but little security. Many juggle multiple side hustles just to make ends meet, with no safety net if things go wrong. These financial pressures don't just affect bank accounts, they delay or derail major life milestones. Marriage, starting a family, even moving out on your own can feel impossible when you're weighed down by debt, high rent, and stagnant wages. The traditional path, school, job, house, family, has been disrupted. The starting line keeps moving further back, and the finish line feels more uncertain than ever. For many, the dream of upward mobility is slipping away, and this isn't just about boomers pulling up the ladder behind them. It's a systemic problem, decades in the making, shaped by policy decisions, economic shifts, and changing social norms. Demographics, politics, and economic forces have rewired who gets what. The rules of the game have changed, and not everyone got the memo. Some might hope that inheritance will level the playing field, but for most, that's not the case. Wealth is more concentrated than ever, locked up at the very top, leaving the majority with little to fall back on. The result? A generation struggling to find its footing in a world overflowing with wealth. but where the path to security and success is steeper and more uncertain than ever before. The promise of progress feels broken, but understanding how we got here is the first step to changing the story. To truly understand the forces shaping today's economy, we have to start with the baby boomers. Born between 1946 and 1964, this generation is the largest in American history, and their sheer numbers have acted like a gravitational pull on every aspect of society. From the moment they arrived, boomers have been at the center of economic, political, and cultural change, influencing everything from the job market to the way we live and work. As a massive demographic wave, boomers shaped markets and policies at every life stage. When they were young, schools expanded to accommodate them. As they entered the workforce, new jobs were created, and entire industries grew to meet their needs. Their preferences drove consumer trends, and their collective voice influenced everything from music to technology. Their numbers gave them enormous political power. Elections were won and lost based on their votes. Policies were crafted to favor job growth, home ownership, and, as they aged, retirement security. Politicians courted their support, knowing that boomers could sway the direction of the country. Each stage of their lives bent the system to their needs. As they moved from young adulthood to middle age, and then into retirement, the economy and government adapted to keep up with their demands, often at the expense of future generations. Later generations, Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, are smaller in number, and have less political clout. Their voices are often drowned out in the national conversation, and their needs are less likely to be addressed by policymakers. Their concerns, like crushing student debt, skyrocketing housing costs, and job insecurity, often take a backseat to the priorities of older generations. Many young people feel like they're running a race where the starting line keeps moving further away. It's important to remember that boomers didn't set out to make things harder for their kids and grandkids. Most wanted to build a better future, but the collective choices they made, shaped by their size and influence, have had long-term consequences that are still unfolding today. Tax cuts for asset owners, weakened worker protections, and restrictive zoning laws all widened the wealth gap. These policies, often designed to benefit the majority at the time, have made it harder for younger generations to build wealth and stability. The boomers' unique timing and size let them lock in advantages, like affordable homes, stable jobs, and generous pensions, that younger generations now struggle to access. The ripple effects of their era continue to shape the opportunities and challenges faced by every generation that followed. Nowhere is the generational divide clearer than in housing. Boomers bought homes when prices were just 2 or 3 times the median income. Challenging, but doable. Today, homes cost 7, 8, even 10 times the median income, turning a basic need into a luxury. Restrictive zoning and limited new construction have made affordable housing scarce, driving prices sky high. The housing ladder is broken. The first rung is out of reach for many. This creates a two-tiered society: property owners who build wealth, and renters who fall further behind. It's not just about frustration, it's about social mobility and economic health. A permanent class of renters can't build equity and remains vulnerable to the market's whims. Hyper-expensive housing reshapes society in damaging ways. Labor mobility suffers. People can't move to where the jobs are because they can't afford to live there. This stifles economic growth and innovation, trapping talent in less productive regions. Wealth inequality grows. Property owners get richer as prices rise, while renters, mostly young people, see more of their income swallowed by rent. The result is a vicious cycle. The rich get richer, the young get squeezed. High housing costs also discourage risk-taking and entrepreneurship. When half your income goes to rent, starting a business or changing careers feels impossible. The cost of shelter has become a golden cage, making society less dynamic and more divided. Some say inheritance will fix the generational wealth gap, but that's mostly a myth. Most boomer wealth is concentrated at the top. The majority will pass down only modest sums. Inheritance will widen inequality within younger generations, not solve it. Then there's the Prince Charles paradox. People are living longer, so inheritances arrive when recipients are already middle-aged. The money comes too late, after the crucial years for buying homes or starting families. Relying on inheritance ignores the immediate pressures of debt, housing, and unstable work. The generational wealth gap is a structural problem needing real solutions, not wishful thinking. Hoping for a windfall decades from now won't help those struggling today. This isn't just a Western problem, it's global. In China, the economic miracle has slowed. Young people face fierce job competition and unaffordable housing. In South Korea, Hel Jo-zian describes a generation trapped by high costs and limited opportunities. Older generations hold most of the wealth and power, while the young struggle to get ahead. The same patterns repeat worldwide: housing as an investment, stagnant wages, and a shrinking path to stability. Globalization and the shift to knowledge economies have changed work everywhere. The problem isn't just one generation, it's the structure of the modern global economy. Blaming boomers alone oversimplifies a much bigger challenge. Much of this comes down to luck, specifically, when you were born. Boomers came of age during a golden era: strong growth, affordable homes, secure jobs. Millennials and Gen Z faced the 2008 financial crisis, the COVID pandemic, and economic instability. These early conditions set the trajectory for entire careers. The narrative of success through hard work ignores the power of timing and circumstance. Boomers worked hard, but also benefited from unique historical tailwinds. Younger generations are working just as hard, if not harder, against powerful headwinds. Luck and timing matter more than we like to admit. The generational contract is frayed. The pillars of middle-class life are shakier than ever. Blaming one group is easy, but real solutions require structural change. We need to treat housing as a human right, not just an investment. Reform zoning, build more homes, and discourage speculation. Work must offer stability and benefits, even in a gig economy. Tax systems should reward work, not just wealth. These changes are hard, but the alternative is a future defined by inequality and lost potential. To plant trees for the next generation, we must find the will to rebuild the promise of progress.